Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, the NAACP says American Airlines has a corporate culture of racial insensitivity and possible racial bias. And we'll take you inside Rockbridge County Regional Jail to show you how things have improved for the inmates since last May.
Reporter Faith Pinu sits down with Republican incumbent Ben Klein. We'll tell you what he thinks about gerrymandering in healthcare. And it's Arbor Day in Lexington. Reporter Allison Murtagh will be live at Stonewall Jackson Cemetery to show us how Lexington is celebrating. All that and more next.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news for Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Aspen Marafe.
And I'm Brennan Black. Late this afternoon, President Donald Trump declared a nationwide public health emergency in response to the opioid epidemic that has seized the country.
Effective today, my administration is officially declaring the opioid crisis a national public health emergency under federal law, and why I am directing all executive agencies to use every appropriate emergency authority to fight the opioid crisis.
President Trump's order will take effect through the Public Health Services Act. The act will allow for a longer response period and allow resources to be directed more specifically than in a national state of emergency. The epidemic resulted in the death of over 164,000 Americans last year due to overdoses. The declaration will direct the federal government to take a harder look at drug companies and give larger grants towards opioid addiction aid. President Trump also mentioned that one opioid prescription drug will be removed from the market, but he did not specify which one.
It now appears Hillary Clinton's campaign and the Democratic National Committee helped fund the 2016 dossier that allegations linking the then candidate Trump to Russia. CNN's John Loring reports.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders calls this the real Russia scandal. The dossier that made salacious allegations about candidate Donald Trump and Russia was funded in part by Hillary Clinton's campaign and the Democratic National Committee. The original report was in Tuesday's Washington Post, and a source confirmed this for CNN.
This is what campaigns do, and what matters is not who funded it. What matters is if it's true or not.
CNN previously reported the intelligence firm was originally hired by anti-Trump Republicans during the 2016 presidential campaign to produce the dossier.
Once Trump won the primary, that it was handed over to Democrats. They were sort of the only remaining customers at that point.
Information contained in the dossier, some of which has been verified, has fueled Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian involvement in the 2016 election. An investigation that, analysts say, will continue to rest on whether the dossier's claims are true.
As a legal matter, it's of no consequence to Mueller and really should be no consequence to anybody who's looking at this matter from a legal liability standpoint.
In the end, this wasn't some report that brought up things that Hillary Clinton had done inappropriately with Russia. It's about Donald Trump and Russia.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
CNN has verified some of the information in the dossier, but many of the more salacious details remain unverified. The House Intelligence Committee is seeking financial records of the firm that was contracted to produce the dossier.
The U.S. government's full accounting of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy is expected to be released later this afternoon. President Trump tweeted that the classified documents will be made public. The White House did not say if all the documents will be released or if some will remain sealed. Kennedy's assassination 54 years ago sparked a flurry of conspiracy theories. Today's deadline was set in a 1992 law, and after Oliver Stone's movie, JFK, sparked a new round of fervor over Kennedy's killing. Historians who have closely studied the assassination don't expect documents to reveal any new bombshells, and they don't believe that they will contradict the conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald was solely responsible. Former President George H.W. Bush is responding through a spokesperson to an allegation of sexual assault. An actress alleges he touched her inappropriately while he was sitting in his wheelchair during a photo op that took place a few years ago. In a now deleted Instagram post, Heather Lind wrote Bush sexually assaulted her. She wrote he touched her with his wife by his side and told her a dirty joke and then touched her again. The former president's spokesman issued a statement Wednesday. It reads, quote, President Bush would never, under any circumstance, intentionally cause anyone distress, and he most sincerely apologizes if this attempt at humor offended Ms. Lind. CNN reached out to Ms. Lind to confirm an image being circulated is the one she was referencing and asked why the post was deleted. Lind has not responded to the request for comment. The allegation comes in wake of a scandal surrounding Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein and director James Toback and other men being accused of harassing and sexually assaulting women. Weinstein denies any allegations of non-consensual sex, and Toback also denied allegations.
The House of Representatives has cleared the way to fast-track tax reform legislation, barely. The House passed a budget resolution allowing the Senate to approve the legislation with a simple majority, rather than requiring the 60 votes usually needed to overcome a filibuster. The GOP passed the measure 216 to 212. 20 Republicans crossed the aisle to join the Democrats in opposing the bill. They objected to the removal of the popular state and local deduction, a tax break only used by 1/3 of all filers. House Republicans are expected to unveil the text of the tax reform bill next week.
It's election day in Kenya. Earlier this year, Kenyans re-elected the sitting president, but the Supreme Court believes the vote was rigged and called for a rerun. Today, Kenyans returned to the polls, but opposition demonstrations have turned violent. 3 people were shot yesterday, but are said to be recovering. For that reason and more, the CEO of Kenya Airways thinks that the first election should be validated.
I would prefer that the first election would be validated, and then we would be over this today. So it's true that from a business perspective, it's better to have stability for the next 5 years, a government in place, a president in place. So I'm not a fan of the situation.
Voting has been delayed in some areas because of the violence. The Electoral Commission has 7 days to declare the results. In the weeks running up to the November elections, the Rockbridge Report is profiling the candidates running for local positions.
Last week, we brought you the story on John Winfrey, the independent candidate running for the 24th District of House of Delegates seat. This week, reporter Faith Pinu brings you the story of Winfrey's opponent, Republican incumbent delegate Ben Klein.
Delegate Klein has firmly held on to his delegate seat for 15 years, with 3 unopposed elections and 5 landslides.
For me, it's the same campaign each and every time. I get around and talk to voters as much as I can and listen to the concerns that they have, and if they believe that I'm doing a good job and want to send me back, then they will.
Klein says he hopes to continue championing education and transparency in the State House. In the last year, Klein introduced a bill that would require keeping a record of all procedural votes on legislation and not letting any parliamentary maneuvers go unrecorded. In the past, Klein has promoted online education courses, a major plus to Rockbridge Area Republican Committee volunteer Scott Risser.
Down here, Ben Klein's the one that says what I like to hear, but more so does what he says.
On issues of gerrymandering and health care, the 2 sticking points of Klein's independent opponent John Winfrey, Klein says the drawing of district lines should not be given to an independent commission, but be left in legislators' hands, where he said they can be held accountable. As for health care, he voted down the Medicaid expansion in April and has applauded President Trump's executive order that would allow insurers to sell health care plans in different states.
Well, I take my role as a representative of the people very seriously. So when I go to Richmond, I try and communicate their views and their concerns effectively.
Charles Kostelny, treasurer of the local Republican Party, says Klein's consistency as a delegate is what makes him a strong candidate.
Generally, people like Ben. He's a very steady person.
According to Kostelny, Klein's 15-year record in the House of Delegates blows his opponent Winfrey out of the water.
He hasn't had any competition, and he truthfully doesn't have any right now.
Klein's past work with Congressman Bob Goodlatte and his family's involvement with the local St. Patrick's Catholic Church have won him the support of voter Lydia Blackburn.
Trustworthy. He's a Christian, and he believes in the same principles I do.
Voters will head to the polls on November 7th to decide whether to give Klein 2 more years in Richmond. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Faith Pinu.
Stay tuned at the end of this newscast for Faith's sit-down interview with Delegate Klein. It's Arbor Day in Lexington. Up next, we'll tell you how the city is celebrating.
Well, we're going to start off the weekend with a beautiful and sunny Friday, but Saturday and Sunday it looks like we're going to have some storms and showers. I'll have your weather report next.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. Already posted it.
It's Arbor Day in Lexington. The Rockbridge Report's Allison Murtagh is live in downtown Lexington to tell how the city's celebrating.
Mayor Frank Friedman declared tomorrow Arbor Day for the city of Lexington. In order to celebrate, members of the Public Works Department and city arborist Jennifer Hughes will be planting 2 new species of trees in the Stonewall Jackson Memorial Cemetery. The Stonewall Jackson Memorial Cemetery has been a hotspot for Civil War buffs for years. The Confederate general and his family are buried in the Lexington Cemetery, and people still leave lemons on the gravesite to honor the general who supposedly believed in the power of citrus juice before engaging in a battle during the Civil War. However, members of the Lexington community are now hoping the cemetery will be a tourist attraction for history and botany buffs alike. Mayor Friedman has declared Friday Arbor Day for the city. The festivities will take place in the historic cemetery.
The city recognizes Arbor Day annually with a tree planting ceremony.
Nationally, Arbor Day is not usually celebrated in October.
Typically that's done in spring, but in Virginia, fall's the best planting time. So we try to promote that by celebrating Arbor Day in the fall.
Lexington is already nationally recognized as a tree city, but the Public Works Department hopes to have the cemetery designated as an arboretum.
And part of the requirement for that is to have 50 different species of tree.
Hughes says that if the cemetery becomes a designated arboretum, tourism may also increase throughout the town.
Even people that come there to the cemetery for history remark on how excellent the trees are. So, I mean, if someone can Google arboretums and Stonewall Jackson Memorial Cemetery pulls up, they'll come for the trees and they'll stay for everything else.
During the Arbor Day celebration, 2 tree species, a white-flowering redbud and a sweet bay magnolia, will be added to the cemetery.
It has a lot of old trees, some of which are 100 years or more old.
Visitors to the cemetery are advised to watch out for these old trees because of the phenomenon known as sudden limb drop.
These mature trees, for no reason, typically oaks in the red or black family, will throw down these tree limbs with no defect on them.
Make sure to stop by the cemetery between 9 and 11 tomorrow morning to celebrate the day and to learn about planting trees. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Allison Murtagh.
You gotta love all this sunshine, and maybe warmer temperatures are next. James Laverty joins us with a look ahead for the weather for this weekend.
Well, it does look like the weekend's going to start off bright and sunny, but we might have some colder weather and some storms and shower later on. Let me take you over for the weekend weather report. And as you look at downtown Lexington, here's our local weather report. Today we have a high of 58 degrees, and we get all the way down to a low of 34 degrees tonight, which is only 10 degrees away from our record low set in 2013. The barometric pressure for today is at 29.91 inches, low wind speeds of just 3 miles an hour, and 41 degrees humidity. And as we look at our local regional conditions, 53 degrees seems to be the temperature of the day as seen in Buena Vista, Lexington, and Stanton. Down to the west, we could see that it gets all the way down to 46 degrees. And in Charlottesville, they take the high temperature of the day at 58 with sunny skies all around. Now, as we look at our local Doppler radar, you could see some of the clouds going up along the east coast that are taking away some of our storms from earlier this week, leaving us with some sunny skies for the rest of the next couple days. However, as we look at our 5-day forecast, we could see that that's not going to be the case for the weekend. Today it'll get up to 69 degrees. Tomorrow, it'll get up to 69 degrees with a low of 40 and sunny skies. Saturday and Sunday is going to bring some rain. It'll get up to 65 on Saturday with a low of 41, and Sunday will bring some colder temperatures as we'll get all the way down to 31 degrees. Monday and Tuesday look to be a little more sunny out, and we'll get some warmer temperatures. A 54 high on Monday with a low of 35, and on Tuesday we'll get up to 61 degrees. That's your local weather report. Brendan, back to you.
President Trump has 8 wall prototypes to choose from for his border wall with Mexico. Some are calling them giant tombstones. We'll show you what they look like.
And reporter Bryn McCarthy takes us inside the walls of Rockbridge County Jail. Jail officials say conditions have improved since the superintendent came under scrutiny last May. All that and more next.
I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it. My support team never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew who I could become as a person. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
When it comes to saving money,
What? Parents!
don't act like a baby.
Oh, it's like they're having their own little meeting. This is so humiliating.
Be the boss.
I'm the boss. What the? Power nap. You were saying.
And make a budget.
Let's get to work.
Need a little help?
Stacy, read back the notes.
I can't read. What's it say?
Create a personalized savings plan and get other tools and tips.
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
At feedthepig.org.
The NAACP says black people may want to avoid American Airlines. According to an advisory issued Tuesday night, the organization has seen a pattern of disturbing incidents reported by African American passengers specific to American Airlines. The NAACP says it appears to carry may have a corporate culture of racial insensitivity and possible racial bias. American Airlines spokeswoman Shannon Gilson says the company is committed to providing a positive, safe travel experience for everyone. Gilson also said members of the NAACP will be invited to discuss the matters at the carrier's headquarters in Fort Worth, Texas.
The president just weighed in on the design prototypes for the border wall with Mexico. Right now, there are 8 wall prototypes built by 6 different companies currently on display near the border for a kind of show and tell. CNN's Miguel Marquez visited those prototypes near the border and brings us this report.
President Trump said he wanted a big, fat, beautiful wall. These are his 30 by 30 foot options.
One of these 8 contestants could soon stretch 2,000 miles across the border.
There's a chance that one of them gets selected, 8 of them get selected, or a mix of their characteristics gets selected for construction.
They sit like giant tombstones just east of San Diego in the no man's land right on the U.S.-Mexico border. The president has consistently said a wall will be built along the entire border.
He says 2,000 miles of border wall. You say we'll put it up where we need
Well,
to.
there's testimony already out there. There was a testimony by the former chief of Homeland Security, which was General Kelly, in which he in testimony said that you won't see a wall from sea to shining sea. We will put the wall where it makes sense.
Customs and Border Patrol deferring to the same John Kelly, who is now the president's chief of staff. The cost for just these test walls, $20 million. Building any one of them and cross the entire 2,000-mile border could cost more than $20 billion.
Beyond this, whether the $20 billion to build the entire wall comes, that's for another day.
So right now, our focus is to complete the process of construction of the prototypes.
So the prototypes, or the contestants for the president's big, beautiful wall, they're done. But it's going to take another month for the cement to dry and for the walls to settle before they can be tested. And then they'll go at them, seeing whether they can be scaled, climbed, dug under, or breached.
Alfaro, a Mexican citizen who teaches border issues at San Diego State University, says the wall may keep people from coming into the United States, but it won't stop the drugs.
Lexington City Council members are still talking about last week's tour of the Rockbridge Regional Jail. As Bryn McCarthy reports, a jail official showed them the many positive changes that have been made to the building and its operation since problems came to light in May.
This past May, 2 prisoners at the Rockbridge Regional Jail were badly beaten by other prisoners. It took days for them to receive treatment for their injuries. This incident sparked a state investigation of the jail. Following this investigation, Interim Superintendent Derek Almerode is happy to say the jail has made several new and positive changes.
Well, we have enhanced our medical department a great deal. We actually have a registered nurse on staff as well as LPNs, and we have a doctor who is assigned through this medical program. It is contractual medical services provided by a particular company.
Now, not only will inmates be able to receive treatment on site, but these changes will save the jail money in the long run. City Manager Noah Simon is Lexington's representative on the jail board. He works with the jail's 3 jurisdictions on the board to implement initiatives like these new medical practices.
We sit and receive reports from the director and his staff about the jail operations and are always looking for ways to improve efficiency, not in terms of what they do and how they do it on the inside, so to speak, but just ensuring that we are getting the best bang for our buck.
In addition to adding on-site medical treatment, the jail is working on improving what it calls its, quote, restorative program.
The goal in mind is that we, any program that we initiate, there is a restorative side to it so that the inmate benefits, the community benefits, and the jail benefits from it.
Simon is optimistic about the jail's future.
The greater involvement by the board and the engagement by the superintendent and his staff, I think the jail is well on its way to really maximizing efficiency and becoming a well-run facility.
Almerode is currently the interim superintendent of the jail. He says a permanent replacement for the previous superintendent will be chosen in the very near future. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Bryn McCarthy here in Lexington.
Neither Almerode nor Chris Velias, the Commonwealth Attorney, could comment on the investigation that occurred after events of last May, but they promised the jail is continuing to work hard to make improvements for the jail and community. Lexington has a new space for artisans downtown. Stay tuned. Catherine Young has the story after the break.
And Paige Williams says SVU and Washington and Lee will begin a head-to-head competition in one sport.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it. I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
They were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Oh, emojis! I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you!
She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
How about the hand?
Ah, there you go. Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Zane!
Lexington now has a place where undiscovered inventors can share a workshop with high-tech tools. It's called a makerspace. Catherine Young reports.
Lexington now has a space for community members of all ages to come together to create anything from art to repurposed neckties. The Lexington Collaboratory and Makerspace allows hobbyists and aspiring entrepreneurs to help their ideas come to life. A makerspace is a collaborative workspace allowing people to make, learn, and innovate with like-minded individuals. The concept has already spread to cities like Stanton and Richmond and opened in Lexington in July. Jamie Gooden, president of the board of directors of Main Street Lexington and co-manager of the Lexington Collaboratory and Makerspace, hopes it will help residents form businesses.
I'm really interested in creating the next generation of entrepreneurs.
The Makerspace, which has room for small-scale production, is being funded by 2 grants. The Lexington Collaboratory received a $40,000 Building Entrepreneurial Economies grant from the state of Virginia. Additionally, Main Street Lexington received a $60,000 Community Business Launch grant, which will benefit the Makerspace. Lexington City Manager Noah Simon, a longtime champion for a makerspace in the area, sees it as a recruitment tool for economic development.
I've had a number of conversations with potential businesses and other folks who may have an interest in locating or relocating to this area, and really kind of using the makerspace as a showcase in our community for why they might want to be here or locate here.
Jacob Bruck, who works at the Makerspace, thinks the possibilities for the space are endless.
The ultimate goal is to be the biggest resource we can in the community, to teach people how to make things, create businesses, or get the skills they need for employment.
One Makerspace user, Edward Bell, learned about the collaboratory from a Facebook post. He has participated in events such as origami making, creating beer koozies, and drone workshops.
It's not just a crafty place. It's also looking at making things and helping the community essentially grow.
The Makerspace will receive technology such as an engraver, a 3D printer, and a laser cutter by January of 2018. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Catherine Young.
The Makerspace hopes to develop a membership program in the coming months. Memberships for makerspaces in other cities cost between $50 and $100 each month. It's been an exciting week for sports, locally and nationally. Tell us about it, Paige.
You couldn't be more right, Brennan. First off, Southern Virginia University President Reed Wilcox announced last week that the Knights will join the Old Dominion Athletic Conference as an associate member for football beginning fall 2019. SVU is currently a football affiliate of the New Jersey Athletic Conference. Wilcox said that the team will play out its remaining 2017 and 2018 schedules in the NJAC before competing in the ODAC for the 2019 football season. The Knights' record so far this season is 1-6. The team will host Frostburg State tomorrow at 7 o'clock. In other sports, Washington and Lee's women's soccer team won their last home game of the season, 2-0 against Emory and Henry. The team will travel to play Virginia Wesleyan this Saturday. In men's soccer, senior Andrew Kim scored the game-winning goal, leading to the Generals' 1-0 victory over Hampton-Sydney on Tuesday. They are hosting an ODAC quarterfinals match this Saturday against Bridgewater. Back to you, Brennan.
That's it for this edition of the Rockbridge Report. Thanks for watching. Join us at 3 p.m. next Tuesday for a live news update.
And you can stay current on Rockbridge area news by checking our website, rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. Have a great weekend.